Jesus Christ, my beard is itchy. Hello and welcome to Hear Our Words. It has been a while. Probably about 10 months, I would believe. I apologize for the lapse. Life happens, work happens, family happens. But here we are, and today we've got Concrete Jungle by Cole Jeffries, Coal-Powered Games. He is a Brit who had a Kickstarter campaign, and I supported it and saw that it was a fun and kooky game that I could get behind, and so I reached out to him and we had a chat this time last year, I want to say. And now the game is out. It's available on Steam, itch.io, I believe, perhaps GOG, Good Old Games. I don't know that that's the case, so don't quote me on it, but it's absolutely out on Steam. And relatively affordable, I want to say, maybe $10 or $15, which is a good one. If you're a fan of city building, card collecting sort of limited RPG Tetris-y games, this has a lot of that in there. It's more difficult to explain than to show, so let's just go ahead and do a custom game. We will do solo. There's local multiplayer, but we're not going to do that because I'm here by my lonesome. So we'll just give this a start. Alright, so here we are. We've got a grid here where you put each one of these little tiles that corresponds to a different card that's available. You can only choose from the top two here, but these are sort of the up-and-coming up-and-coming cards that you're going to get. And you just build. You build from bottom left here up to the top right, and the way you clear these rows, sort of like Tetris, is you have to fill them to a points value that's going to show up here on the left. Let's scoot over. Each one of these houses gets a certain number of points. We'll see if I can show you here. So, unmodified, this has no points, but now we've got 1 point, and once I hit 3, it just clears out. Like I said, it's easier to show than to explain, because if I sat here saying that you had to clear rows with points by modifying housing tiles with commercially or industrially positive, negative points, it would just get crazy. So we'll just forgo all of that in general. But yeah, this is a fun game. It's got a lot of skill that I don't have that's required to play. Otherwise, because if you suck like me, the game gets really hard. And oops, you just have to deal. But again, this is from Cole Jeffries. I spoke to him a year ago and interviewed him as the Kickstarter campaign was sort of wrapping up, and he was really receptive and fun to chat with. He appreciates games that are good, and not everyone does that. But one of the things... What is this? Houses are the... Okay. Oh, that's right. You can select each one of the cards and get more information from them. Yeah, this is sort of the second iteration of a smaller game that he made called Mega City, which had a lot of the same premise of card collecting, city building, and it was really fun to see what he was able to do with fewer constraints. A lot of art. Well, we'll say that video games are art. A lot of art is only so good as the limitations that it has affecting it, and when you don't have those, how do you deal? How do you create and do something new and fun and exciting? So one of the things that I was most intrigued with was using Kickstarter. All of a sudden, he had much more going on, where he was able to get voice actors. He was able to do more complex graphics. He had more time to dedicate because I'm sure he had a day job, as many of us do. So what do you do when you have that day job and you have to do something in your spare time? Look at my channel. I've been gone for 10 months, which I'll get into later. But, having limitations forces you to be creative in a way that you might not necessarily have been before. And I think he's done a pretty good job of being creative with fewer external limitations placed upon him outside of time and his own creativity. Not everyone is so successful when you're sort of dropped in front of something and it's like, all right, go, without having a box to play in. Like, well, what if I go? Where do I start? Where is it that I start from in order to go? And I think he's done a masterful job working with that. Let me shut up about that a little bit and explain what's going on. So here I've got 4 points out of 3, so this row will clear as soon as I get 3 points in this row. I'm going to try and stack a few of these so that you can see how the Tetris aspect plays in. So let's just do this, and I'll show you what happens when you sort of fail to fill out a row as well. So let's do that. We've got a lot of busyness going on up here that I'll get into. So let's see. We will drop this one here, and we will drop that one up here. We will clear out that row by giving it enough points. We will put that there. We will put this right there. Okay. So all I need is one more point, and watch what happens. So I've got 3 points here, the row disappears, I get combo points for clearing out multiple rows at a time, and all of a sudden, 3... Now, I have no room. I have no room for houses in order to accumulate points. I can spend lives, which by doing this intentionally will probably bone me over later, but I can spend a life to forcibly clear a row, because the one after it had enough points. You see how this goes. But I'm back. I'm back to having an empty playground where I can do more. So as you can see, when the categories don't immediately parallel SimCity, where you've got residential, industrial, commercial, but it's basically along those lines. So when you have similar like cards, as all of these are houses, you can see that the green outline here shows that it's a city block, and you can do different things. Some of these cards will modify blocks in positive or negative ways, and you know, it gets really in depth. But by and large, it's just this, and there is a story mode with characters that are fun and endearing, which I think is a challenge in a lot of things like this. Because it's hard to say, all right, let's have some characters that aren't hokey, that aren't groan-worthy. The voice actors that Cole brought on board to do that work really well. Okay, as we can see, we've got some stuff going on up here that I'll address now. This is purchasing new cards. I have 6 cards available, so let's just go ahead and do that. This is where the card collecting and RPG-ish elements come in. These are new cards that I can get. Some of these will go back into the deck. Some of them are single-use only cards, so this sort of recycling symbol here with the rotating circle is a card that will go into my deck that I can use multiple times. Let's do Garage. And as we can see that each one of these cards has points here, where this is towards the purchase of a new card, and this is sort of an economy size. You can see here that 4 is my new point total for columns. Each card that you place in this sort of orangish-red number will count towards your economy size. Once you max out that bar, it gets more difficult to clear out rows. So let's see, community garden here. I've got 4 more cards. Let's do silos. Let's do not food press. This would give me a new card outright, because this gives you 7 points, and 7 is what it takes to get a new card. But it also negatively impacts all of the... Let's go ahead and do it. Negatively impacts all of the tiles around it. I've had a lot of coffee, so apologies if I tend to ramble a bit. But part of it is I'm excited to be back, so thanks for sticking in there and either coming back because you are one of the 3 people that subscribe to my channel in the first place, or you're one of the people that I know in real life that is generous enough to give me your time and listen to what it is that I have to say. Damn it. I can always restart, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, just work got crazy, and I had no discretionary time, and I've got a 2-year-old kid where I don't want her to grow up a dum-dum, so I want to make sure that I give her the attention that she deserves, which I don't think is too far-fetched in wanting to do. So that's just where that went, and I didn't have time. Like last year, I teased a lot of things that I wanted to do, and guess what? They didn't get did because that's just how it works. So let's just game over this. And I can start rambling and lose concentration. So, you know, those things all played a role in me not having time to do this kind of stuff, even though I think that it's a lot of fun, and building relationships within the indie gaming community. Now that I'm back, I think, I've started to reach out to other people, and like Michael Todd, he created Electronic Superjoy, which I played maybe last summer, and he's got a new game coming out, so I'm going to be interviewing him. I have a book indie type conversation with Cole that I'm trying to wrap up, so this may go out before my interview with Cole, sort of at the tail end of his Kickstarter campaign, which is fine. Oops, that's not what I want. Let's do this. And then let's do this. And then let's do this. Yeah, I'm trying to bookend his whole experience going from Kickstarter to having a game on Steam where people can get it and play it and have fun and enjoy it. And he's a cool guy. You know, he's got his own things going on, and I think the campaign, when he started, his initial asking, value for funding the game was pretty low. I want to say maybe £5,000, but ultimately I think he got £10,000 or £12,000. So it was fun to see that happen for him, because it's it's a big deal. Not everybody is in a position of like, oh wow, I put myself out there and people responded to it, and how exciting is that for me? So, oops. Factory. Let's put this one way over there, out of the way. Okay, sweet. And let's get a house right here. We'll do this one right there, and then we'll do this one right here, and then we're going to lose a life. To go back to the story, there are some endearing characters. We've got this gal here, where she's. I think the story is that she's come home and her hometown is in disarray, even though she has these really fond memories of it. And it turns out that there's some dingus who's completely messing things up, and so she wants to unmuck up everything. And so there's a lot of interplay between those characters, a lot of exchanges in those characters. That's fun and light, even though some of the challenges are not that easy. As I've fully disclosed, I'm not good at these games. I'm really just clipping along here, and I have very limited ability when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So let's see, we'll do this, and then we will do this, and where's another house? We need another house. Restaurant. There. Let's get another house right over here. Right over here. And this. And we'll do this. There we go. But it's more challenging in that there are other things that already occupy these tiles, such as early on there's there'll be like a waterfront here where you'll only have one tile to be able to go through. So you have to plan ahead and look at everything around it and work within those constraints. Another one is that there's the Dingbat has put in a park or a series of chemical plants in penitentiaries, and you have to work around that to try and improve the tiles so that you can pass the level and help this gal restore the city that she knows and loves. But this is much easier for me because I can just sort of haphazardly drop a bunch of tiles and hope for the best. So it's, again, fun, challenging. The local multiplayer, which I haven't been able to enjoy that experience because no one wants to play with me, because it's just me, my wife, my cat, and my kid. My kid doesn't know all that many words. A few, but not all that many. Nope, not gonna do it. Can't do it. Cannot be done. So, game over. Thank you very much. I don't even remember. I don't even remember my sign off. So, thank you for watching. Here Are Our Words. Concrete Jungle, and I hope you had a grand time. Enjoy the rest of your week. Okay, bye. Thank God it's not hot in here.